After winning a victory and celebrating that which you have accomplished, do you still remain a champion? Hi, this is Barry Phillips, a 10-minute Torah, day number 1, the Torah portion, Bamidbar, which means in the wilderness. Let's go to Bamidbar, Numbers, chapter number 1, and read the first several verses. Verse 1 says, And Yahweh spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai in the tent of appointment on the first day to the second new moon, in the second year after they come out of the land of Mitzrayim, saying, Take a census of all the congregation of the children of Israel by their clans, by their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, every male, head by head, from 20 years old and above, everyone going out to the army in Israel. Number them by their divisions, you and Aaron. This is one of my favorite books. Bereshit is my favorite of the Torah. All of them are great, but that's my favorite. Close second is this book, Bamidbar. It's an interesting way of looking at the word Bamidbar. It is spelled with a bait, a mem, a dalet, another bait, a second bait, and then a resh. Bait references the idea of a house. Mem can be either water or mighty or even chaos, as waters can become chaotic. A dalet is looked at as a door. Again, we're looking at a second house, or two houses here, bait again. And then resh, the chief one, the supreme one, the high one. Again, not declaring a doctrine here. It's just an interesting way of looking at things and food for thought, perhaps. Perhaps it's saying to us that the house of chaos, which would be the wilderness, opens the door to the house of the Supreme One. Following that logic, we would understand that those times where we find ourselves in a wilderness-like setting, desolate, alone, abandoned, singled out, it would seem, facing dire need, struggling, seeking to overcome, all of these pictures kind of come to mind. And those places where life becomes a bit chaotic for us, tumultuous, it is in fact a place that opens up, perhaps, or it can open up, if our heart and mind is right, to a greater door, the door of the house of the one who is orchestrating our lives, and it sent us there to begin with. You might reason and think, well, if I'm walking obediently to His Word, and if I'm doing what is right, if I am taking righteous steps, if I'm studying the Word, I'm in prayer, I'm in worship, I'm fellowshipping correctly, my relationships and getting them in order, I'm seeking to be strategic and significant wherever it is that I have been planted. We're ordering our steps correctly. I mean, that's a tall order, but there are times that we seem like we're functioning well. We're achieving. Maybe life has a sense of victory about it. After you get to that place, when you feel like you have hit one over the wall, you have scored the point, you have made a successful run, you've advanced significantly, you're looking for the attaboy and a pat on the back and come on, where's the applause? Come on, where's at least the golf claps? Where are they at? And those moments, whatever we achieve, it needs to be tested. I'll let you in on a little personal anecdote here. We were pastoring our first church. Small, very insignificant, it would seem. Tucked down in a little, what they call a hollow, a little road down into the woods that led to basically nowhere. And we'd had some initial success. There's typically, when a new pastor comes to a church, a bit of a honeymoon period where everyone's encouraged by the youthfulness, if there is such, The vigor, the enthusiasm of a younger pastor, fresh preaching sermons that they'd never heard before, new zeal in the house. And that took place. And there was some initial increase in numbers. They had to go somewhere. We only had 20. It couldn't go down much further. So, and that included my family. So we were starting in a very humble place. But we got into 30 and 35, and we were advancing, and hope was in the house, and expectations were being raised. And I kind of got a checkpoint one day in prayer, standing in the altar area, looking out the window and praising the Father for all the success that had been achieved. I was letting known in no uncertain terms, son, I'm going to test what's been built. And I kind of shuddered at the idea, because I knew what was built was fragile, but it was something. I needed something. By the time the testing was over, we were back down to where we started or less, and I was begging to leave. The testing is the hard part. As hard as it is to gain a sense of victory and overcoming and answered prayer and breakthrough, the testing of these things that comes after, and often is the case, excuse me, that's the tougher part. But Yah intentionally led Israel into the wilderness. He sacked the greatest, most mighty country on the face of the earth in that day, Mitzrayim, or Egypt. Yah humbled to the floor in complete broken fashion the most powerful king of the day, Pharaoh. Let Israel out in a grand parade of banners and celebrations and songs, split the Red Sea, led them across, drowned their adversaries behind them. They danced, they prophesied, they celebrated, they struggled. All this to take them into the wilderness. You would have thought that perhaps that the way the story should read is that we come out of Mitzrayim, a short journey, and we go right into the land. But Yah knew that this motley crew of former slaves who were still carrying a broken down slave mentality, who had no real trust basis for him and no knowledge of him other than what meager words they'd heard from Moshe to this point. It's only been a year or so that they've been out. They're only into the beginning of their second year out. They're not ready for their inheritance. And there are several things that have to take place, 3 in particular. They have to be counted, and that's what we began to read about here in this book of Numbering, the Midbar. They have to be numbered and counted, head by head. Israel is a collective community, and we should never get beyond that understanding. However, in that community, each individual in their role of that community is extremely important. I can't shirk my responsibilities, and neither can you, and just allow the whole to make up the difference somehow. Every one of us and what it is that we stand to do, we need to do it with all of our might as unto Yah. We need to be counted. Then we need to come into a place of order, organization, definition. Who does what? How are we going to function? How does my role help you to do your role? How does us doing our roles help the whole? And then assigned purpose. The community needs a purpose. You have to have a sense of direction and function. What is it that we're trying to accomplish here? All of these things enable us to stand the test that will indeed come. Everybody is tested. Everybody has to come under the gaze of the Almighty. The question is, Will we endure the testing as we did the battle to overcome and have a victory? Pick up here again tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Until then, shalom.